The year is 1970. Humanity has already walked on the moon, a feat accomplished by Apollo 11 and 12. Now, Apollo 13 is poised to be the third lunar landing. For Commander Jim Lovell, a veteran of 3 space flights, this was his shot at walking on the lunar surface. Alongside him were Command Module pilot Jack Swigert, a last-minute replacement, and Lunar Module pilot Fred Hayes. They were a seasoned crew, having spent hundreds of hours in simulators, preparing for every conceivable emergency. Their training was rigorous, pushing them to the physical and mental limits, yet nothing could truly prepare them for what lay ahead. On April 11, 1970, the colossal Saturn V rocket roared to life, propelling Apollo 13 and its crew towards the heavens. The first 2 days were smooth, almost routine. They broadcast a television tour of their spacecraft, showing life in zero gravity to an audience back on Earth that was, frankly, a little complacent. Moon missions were starting to feel almost ordinary. Little did anyone know, this mission was about to become anything but. 55 hours and 54 minutes into the flight, 200,000 miles from home, Mission Control in Houston requested a routine procedure, a cryo-stir. This was simply to stir the supercooled oxygen and hydrogen tanks in the service module to get more accurate readings. Jack Swigert flipped the switch. A moment later, a loud bang echoed through the spacecraft. The ship shuddered violently. Warning lights blazed across the control panel. On the ground, telemetry went haywire. The crew initially thought a meteoroid had struck the lunar module, but the reality was far more terrifying. Jim Lovell looked out the window and saw a cloud of gas venting into space. He uttered the now famous, chillingly understated words, "Houston, we've had a problem." An oxygen tank, damaged during pre-flight testing, had exploded. It wasn't just a bang, it was a catastrophic failure. The explosion had ripped through the side of the service module, critically damaging the second oxygen tank as well. The command module, their ride home and their shield against the fiery re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, was dying. Its life support systems and power were bleeding away into the void. The lunar landing was instantly aborted. The mission was no longer about exploration, it was about survival. In Houston, Flight Director Gene Kranz gathered his team. In a moment that would become legendary, he declared, "Failure is not an option." The atmosphere in Mission Control was electric with tension, but also a focused determination. The world's best engineers and scientists, many of them barely in their 30s, were now faced with an impossible task: bring 3 men home from the far side of the moon using a crippled spacecraft. Their only hope was the lunar module, Aquarius. Designed to support 2 men on the moon for 2 days, it now had to function as a lifeboat for 3 men for 4 days, on a journey of 250,000 miles. The crew powered down the command module Odyssey to save its precious remaining battery power for re-entry. They moved into the cold, cramped confines of Aquarius. It was their only sanctuary, a fragile bubble of life in the deadly vacuum of space. The journey back was an ordeal of extreme hardship. The temperature inside Aquarius plummeted to near freezing. Condensation formed on every surface, dripping on the crew and the delicate electronics. Sleep was almost impossible. To conserve power, they shut down nearly everything, flying in the dark. Food was scarce, and more critically, so was water. Dehydration became a serious threat, compounding their fatigue and stress. But the most pressing danger was the air they were breathing. The 3 astronauts were exhaling carbon dioxide, and the lunar module's filtration system was not designed for this many people over this long a period. CO2 levels were rising to toxic, lethal levels. The command module had plenty of air-cleaning lithium hydroxide canisters, but they were square. The receptacles in the lunar module were round. It was a classic case of a square peg in a round hole. Back on Earth, the engineering team in Houston dumped a replica of every piece of equipment available on the spacecraft onto a table. They were tasked with inventing a solution using only what the astronauts had with them: cardboard from logbooks, plastic bags, duct tape, and a sock. Under immense pressure, they engineered a makeshift adapter. They radioed the instructions step by step to the exhausted crew, who painstakingly assembled the device. It was ugly, but it worked. The carbon dioxide levels began to drop. They had bought themselves more time. As the crew battled for their lives in the dark, the world watched, holding its collective breath. The initial apathy towards the mission had transformed into a global vigil. News outlets provided constant updates. People gathered in public squares, in churches, and in their homes, united in prayer and hope for the astronauts' safe return. The crisis transcended political and cultural divides. It was a human drama playing out on the grandest possible stage. The Soviet Union dispatched ships to possible splashdown zones, offering assistance. This wasn't just an American mission anymore. It was a human one. The families of the astronauts waited in an agonizing limbo. Marilyn Lovell, in particular, became the face of the family's quiet strength and deep anxiety, her ordeal broadcast into living rooms across the nation. The public's reaction was a powerful reminder of our shared humanity and our fascination with the final frontier. It was a testament to the fact that when we push the boundaries of what's possible, we carry the hopes and fears of the entire world with us. The final challenge was re-entry. The powered-down command module had to be brought back to life in the freezing cold. There was no guarantee the batteries would hold, or that the heat shield hadn't been damaged in the explosion. The course correction burns, performed with the lunar module's engine, had to be perfect. They were flying by the seat of their pants, using the sun as a navigation reference because their onboard computers were off. One by one, they overcame each hurdle. After jettisoning the dead service module, they finally saw the extent of the damage with their own eyes. An entire side panel was missing. It was a miracle the ship had held together. They then moved back into the frigid command module, Odyssey, and jettisoned their lifeboat, Aquarius. As it drifted away, the crew felt a profound sense of loss for the little craft that had saved their lives. Now they were committed. The final act was the fiery plunge through Earth's atmosphere. For 4 long minutes, radio silence, the whole world waited. Did the heat shield hold? Did the parachutes deploy? Then a voice broke through the static. It was Jack Swigert. "Okay, Joe," he said, confirming the parachutes were out. A wave of relief washed over Mission Control, which erupted in cheers, tears, and celebratory cigars. On April 17, 1970, Apollo 13 splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean. They were home. The mission was called a successful failure. They never made it to the moon, but the ingenuity, resilience, and courage displayed by the crew and the ground team became an even more powerful story. It was a story of human brilliance in the face of disaster, a demonstration of what we can achieve when we refuse to accept defeat. The legacy of Apollo 13 is not about a failed landing, but about a triumphant return. It stands as perhaps NASA's finest hour, a timeless saga of crisis, innovation, and the unbreakable strength of the human spirit. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as we do, please like this video and subscribe for more tales of human exploration.